This episode may discuss sensitive subject matter and may be triggering. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline 988 Veterans Press 1. Today's show is sponsored by the I Inspire Club on Clubhouse. It has 840 members currently, and every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, you can join the conversation as we have strong love talks about PTSD. Often we have the replays off, but sometimes we are recording so that you can go back and hear what the conversation. So join us this Sunday. Pastor Jeff Moffitt is the founder of this club, and I am one of his moderators. Join us every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Calling all branches. If you are a veteran or an active duty member of any branch of the United States Armed Forces, regardless of race, creed, or national origin, come join the Montford Point Marine Association, Chapter 47 in Charleston, South Carolina. The contact information is listed below and will be in the description at the end of this broadcast. Welcome to Talk to Me. I'm your host, Brenda Warren. I see things other people often miss. Today, we are talking about self-care for PTSD because, y'all, it is Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day. And this is a great opportunity to have the conversation about something that affects many veterans. Sometimes it's hard for us veterans to even talk about what has happened to us or even acknowledge that PTSD is something that's real. I know that was the case for me back in 2011 when I officially got diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and military sexual trauma. I didn't want to believe it. My world was falling apart, but I couldn't come to grips with it because there was so much schmilt associated with it. That's what I do, combine shame and guilt. See, Marines don't do that. I felt shame at the diagnosis and I felt guilty for not being what I called, quote unquote, normal. I had no idea the impact it would have on my life, but I did know I wasn't about to tell a soul. So I kept it hidden deep inside. I didn't tell my husband, my friends, my family. I told no one. I just walked around with the pain of the things that were happening to me. And it was really hard because my world began to unravel. And for those of you that don't know, I wanted to share that post traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is a mental health condition that generally develops after a traumatic event. The condition commonly affects war veterans and people who experience abuse, car accidents, and other life threatening situations. The affected individual may experience flashbacks to the triggering event, which can cause panic attacks, depression, anxiety, jumpiness, and trouble sleeping. Luckily, the recent rise in discussion and research around this condition means there are many treatments for post traumatic stress disorder that can help people reduce their symptoms and deal with this long term effect. But you see, at the time when I was first diagnosed, I wasn't aware of that. I felt like one of the misfit toys on the island of misfit toys. I tell you, I was terrified. I was scared of someone finding out my secret because the shame of it. You know, shame is you did something wrong, and guilt is, excuse me, shame is, what is it? Shame is you are bad, and guilt is you did something bad. And I was caught up in the schmilt of it all. I just combined the shame and the guilt because, again, Marines don't do that. It will be years before I began to accept the diagnosis and began to seek treatment. By the time I did, I'd had a complete mental breakdown, caused a lot of damage in my health and in my family. And then, with that shame still in full force, I let the hospital and the doctors around me over medicate me. 22 pills later, I was pretty much a zombie, y'all. Not living my best life at all. I sat on the couch for 8 years. Although I was on the couch, I was still helping other people in ministry and helping other people live their best life, but I wasn't living mine. And then one day I got off the couch and I haven't looked back. Because, see, when you get the proper help that you need, you don't have to sit in shame, guilt, or smilt. You can simply get the help you need from the professionals and from your loved ones that is available to each and every one of us if we would just reach out and grab a hold. You know, in the military, when I used to go on the range, I used to love that. They said, reach out, grab a hold, target. Well, see, I wasn't hitting my target because I was too ashamed to let everybody know I needed to shoot my shot to live my best life. So I suffered in silence for years when I really didn't have to. And nowadays, I'm praying that on this Veterans Day, some veteran will hear this message, realize they are not alone, and reach out and get the help that is so readily available to each and every one of us, be it from your clergy, be it from family members, or from the VA hospital. Now, I know the VA hospital may have a bad rep in some cases, but you got to start somewhere. You can go to the va.gov online and get some help that way. Whatever you do, don't sit alone. Make sure you reach out to get some help. I want to share a few photos with you. If you look at this photo of me in 1980, I was about to graduate boot camp from the photo on my left. And then in August 2000, I was preparing for retirement as a gunnery sergeant. I had made it. I had done my 20 years of active service and I had served honorably. If you'd have told the little girl in that picture, June 1980, that I would be where I am today or that I would retire as a gunnery sergeant, she couldn't even imagine that. All she knew at the time was that more than anything, she wanted to be a Marine. She didn't know the trials and the challenges she would face. But by the time August 2000 come, she had lived a life worth living, been all around the world, made many friends, and some of those friends are featured right here. There's McLaurin and oh my goodness, I can't. I'm sitting here. I'm drawing a blank that quick. Beverly. Both of these ladies were real important to my growth and development as I grew up in the Marine Corps. This is a picture of us at Staff Academy. I would go on to serve overseas and serve on the DACOITS team, the Defense Advisory for Women in the Services. We would travel to all the military bases all around the world and make sure that women were being treated fairly. I would host events at the Pentagon with those same ladies, which was a multi-branch event that allowed us to service hundreds of people. And then finally, just before retirement, I got to be with some of the people that I respected the most in all branches of the service as we came together for a ball. You know, I had an amazing time while in the Marine Corps, learning to be resilient, to learn how to not be afraid of my own shadow. Because there was a time when I was too afraid to open my mouth. Can y'all believe that as much as I talk? But there was a time when I could barely say a word. I was afraid of my own shadow. But the Marine Corps gave me the confidence to step out and be my bold self. It gave me the confidence to do whatever it takes to succeed. And so today, while we're talking about self-care for PTSD, I had to apply some of those principles. That is why I created my method, the TAPIN method, to help people transform their mind, gain accountability, and make the announcement they're ready to move past their limitations as they prepare to imagine the life that they want to live and nurture that thought so they can tap in to live their best life now. What is now? No opportunity wasted. Every day, people all across America, not just combat vets or veterans in general, but people that have been traumatized, are dealing with the stigma of post-traumatic stress disorder and not living their best life. So I'm going to give you some strategies today to help you do just that. One of them is I want you to engage your creative mind. If you sew, you paint, you draw, you make a sculpture, invent some new process or project that will light you up, compose music, creative writing, journaling. All of these are just a few examples of things you can do to engage your brain so that you can move past brain fog and just get your mind to settle down into a peaceful place. I tell you, those creative pursuits that I indulge in, like sewing or doing this broadcast, podcasting, or things I can do right here in my home, have helped me get to a better place as I go through this PTSD journey. You see, there was a time I would not even leave my house. And even now, I don't always leave as much as maybe other people wish I did. But the truth is, I can still live my best life sitting right here in this room doing what I'm doing right now. And I don't have to be afraid to do it. Also, you need to be able to communicate your needs with your social circle. For me, it was hard to tell people that I needed help. I was used to always being the person that helped everybody. But then there came a time when I had to come to grips with the fact that if I really wanted to be my best self, my authentic self, my bold self, that I would have to ask for help. Asking for help for us military people is sometimes one of the hardest things. Actually, not just military people, for people in general. Some people find it very hard to ask for help. I was one of those people. Now I don't have a problem asking for help. I even created one of the things I call a mental health protocol. It's a sheet I developed that would help me really assess, are the people in my circle willing to support me when I'm in crisis? You see, what I learned the hard way is that everybody can't hold space for you. So when you get buy-in for those people closest to you of what they can and cannot do, it makes it easier when you find yourself in a crisis to get the help you need. You see, I have one friend that I can call anytime, day or night, and they will be right there to help talk me so I'm not jumping off anybody's coffee table. And then there's another friend that I know that I can only get them between 3 and 4. But that's the agreement we made because of their schedule and what they're willing to do to support me. There's another friend that if I just need to cry on their shoulder, I could just call them and cry. No questions asked. And they would just hold that space. So, whatever it is that you need, make sure that you've communicated those needs to those that are around you. The other thing is you need to relax your body regularly. You know, exercise has been a key for me. Meditation, taking walks. I walk daily. The other day, I was really stressed when there was an incident at my child's college. I ended up getting 27,000 steps. Now, that's not the best thing for me, but it's what I needed to do that day to help reduce the stress for me. And knowing what it is that will help you get to the better side of a healthy mindset and mental place, that's what you need to do. Another thing is uh, consider acquiring a service animal. For years, I had guinea pigs, and I absolutely adored my piggies. They lived for a really long time. Normally, guinea pigs last in a home anywhere from 2 to 3 years, but mine lasted 7 years. I was so sad when S'mores and Rose and the rest of the guinea pigs began to pass. We used to call them the immortals because they were here for long. They were pampered piggies. I gave them manicures. I talked to them. I hugged them. I loved them. I bathed them. They were so good for me. They were my emotional support animals. When they passed, I knew it was time for me to start making the effort to get around people and to maybe travel a little more. So I did not replace my guinea pigs. I'm still wondering, do I want to get a dog or something like that? But if you are an animal person, I encourage you to get a service pet of some kind that will help give you the emotional support you need to stay mentally healthy. I talked about meditation again earlier, but I want to mention it again because for me, meditation was really a hard thing to get a hold of because I felt like my mind was just racing. And often when I tried to sit in the silence, it wasn't good for me. I would find myself having flashbacks or being back in situations that I didn't choose to be in. So I wouldn't do it that often. And then I discovered a way to do meditation that gave me the grounding I needed, but without putting me in a bad place. So now I meditate daily. I meditate as I pray, and I pray as I meditate because that's one way for me to get peaceful. And I often do it while I walk. So it allows me to get my steps in daily so that I can clear my mind to actually be in a safer mental place. And while I'm doing that, I practice being present. You know, oftentimes when someone is dealing with post traumatic stress, they have flashbacks, and that can be highly disturbing. And then we have thoughts that we don't want to deal with. But staying here in the present and recognizing that I'm safe right now, that I don't have to sit in the bad place, has been so important to help in keeping me mentally stable. And also being willing to talk about it. there's been so much shame and guilt for me around not being what I considered whole, that it was really hard for me in the beginning to reach out and just let someone know that I was struggling with intrusive thoughts, or that I was just not quite staying in the present as I was floating back into the flashbacks. But I started to discover that when I don't sleep or eat properly or exercise, I'm more prone to having flashbacks, panic attacks, and just being irritable. So I really guard my peace at all costs. I'm not sure what you do, and I'd love to hear from anyone that's listening to this. What do you do to maintain your peace? For me, I stay away from negative people. I practice my BAM, which some of you may have heard me talk about. That is my boundaries, my attitude, and my messaging. I make sure that I set clear boundaries for how I treat myself and how I allow others to treat me. I make sure I live in an attitude of gratitude, and I'm grateful every day that I wake up and I'm above ground and I'm wide awake. I maintain an attitude of gratitude for the little things, that I woke up this morning, that I have food in my house, that I have a house that is warm. Just being grateful does good for your spirit. It reduces stress and just overall good feeling. And then my messaging. I make sure I'm clear on I say what I mean and I mean what I say. Because I was pointed out recently when I used to always say, I'm looking for the chocolate brother with the rock hard abs. Well, y'all, I met a chocolate brother with rock hard abs, but guess what? That's all he had. He had no character. He had no sense, couldn't make me laugh, and was all about himself. So I had to really understand very quickly about the importance of saying what you want and then making sure you are clear that that's what you really want. So moving forward, y'all won't be hearing about the chocolate brother with the rock hard abs. Instead, you'll hear about the chocolate brother with character that has a faith in God. It's not a great soundbite, but it's the truth. I want someone that's ready to love, knows how to love, and is willing to be in a relationship. It's important to know when you get clear on your boundaries, on your attitude of gratitude, and your messaging, what you want will come for you or come to you. I believe that. The other stuff is avoid, um, hanging on to the past. I spent a lot of years worrying about what happened before or what was behind me. I wasn't looking at my present or my future. So it's important to, instead of sitting there thinking about how bad things were, I begin to concentrate on how good things are. And when I say what if now, I say, instead of saying, but what if it goes wrong? Or what if they don't like me? I say, what if it goes right? What if they love me? Think about that. What if you turned your what if into a positive in a way that allows you to live your absolute best life now, every day from here on out? That's something you can sit with and just think about. That's why I love to do a soul search, because when I do a soul search, I ask myself the 5 questions I've been asking many of you over the past year. What do you want? Why do you want it? How does it benefit you? How does it benefit others? And what are you willing to do to get it? When you think about those questions and you write them down and then you answer them, you may surprise yourself and you may find out that things that you thought were important are not really that important after all. One of the most important things I did was find the right therapist. Getting professional help was a game changer for me. Sitting on the couch for years, feeling sorry for myself, taking lots of medications, had me feeling like I had nothing to live for. Absolutely nothing. But when I began to understand that I was not alone, that there were people out there willing to help, people out there willing to give me the support I need, and not just professional people, but family and friends that were just waiting for me to tell them what I needed. It was really an eye opening and humbling experience. It was something I will never forget the day I realized I am not alone. The women at the vet center, the counselors, the friends, the family, and the fellow veterans that stepped up to make sure I was okay will never be forgotten. And for the colleagues, the business people, the life coaches that reached out the right hand of fellowship and just offered sage advice so that I could begin to get off the couch and stay off the couch. Baby, I will never forget that. Post traumatic stress disorder is a serious matter, but it doesn't have to mean that there aren't steps you can take outside of the clinical setting to speed up your healing. Simply follow the steps that I've outlined here today, and I'm going to go over them really quick in succession. Engage your creative mind. Communicate your needs. Relax your body regular. Consider acquiring a service animal. Meditate. Be present. Avoid hanging on to the past and find the right therapist. More importantly, begin to love yourself right where you are. You see, for a long time, I couldn't deal with the fact that my words got slurred or that I would forget my thought in mid sentence or that sometimes when I was cooking, I'd leave food on the stove. All I could see was the negative and all of that. But here's the gift. Each of those things caused me to find new ways of dealing with everyday challenges. Now, when I slur my words, I simply take the time to think about what I want to say and say it over. No guilt, no shame, no embarrassment. It is what it is. It's just how my brain works. If I find myself in brain fog, I will take a pause and say, do a check. Am I sleeping? Am I eating right? Am I exercising? Am I doing the things I know to do to help me stay in a safe, healthy mental place? When all else fails, I often remind myself to say, have I really had a little talk with Jesus? Because that's my faith. That may not be your faith. It's whoever your higher power is. Have you had a talk with him lately? Have you sat down and had the conversation that will bring you the peace that surpasses all understanding so that you can live your best life now? So you're not living your best life when you're hiding in the shadows or living in shame, or guilt. You live your best life when you become unapologetically unstoppable, just the way you are. If you're overweight, underweight, black, white, gay, straight, whatever it is you are, you just be your authentic self. And remember that post-traumatic stress disorder doesn't have to run or ruin your life. In the I Inspire Club on Clubhouse, we do a reframe every Sunday. And I reframe post-traumatic stress disorder to, I plan to show up daily. Because what that means to me is that no matter how I feel, no matter how I look, no matter what's going on around me, I plan to show up daily. So I show up just the way I am, flaws and all, choosing to live my best life right now. No opportunity wasted. I don't waste the opportunity to tell the people I love that I love them. I don't waste the opportunity to find one person every day to help. I do not waste the opportunity to lift my voice for all the other voiceless veterans that no longer have a voice to say what's on their heart. I don't waste an opportunity to be fully aware of the fact that I take a breath every day by the grace and mercy of God. And I do not waste the opportunity to tell a veteran thank you every chance I get. So to all my fellow veterans that have served with me, I thank you for your service. For those that have served before me, I thank you for your service. Those that will serve after me, I thank you for your service. For those who made the ultimate sacrifice, I thank you for your service. It's Veterans Day, y'all, and I'm reminded that freedom isn't free. And the price of freedom sometimes is held by invisible wounds that no one sees but you. But whether your wounds are visible or invisible, there is help available. And I hope that you will seek that help out so that you can live a life worth living. Remember, the stories we tell ourselves matter. So write the story you want to live. And since you have the pen, write an epic adventure. Finally, I'd just like to remind each and every one of you that the choices you make today will be the reality you live tomorrow. So choose wisely. And remember to thank a veteran. Thank you. God bless you all.